the main thing about sales reps, if they don't buy into why it's important for them to actually do what they need to do, they're just going to continue doing what they're currently doing, right?
And we live with another episode of Mission Control Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stearns, with the acclaimed Ascend Digital Agency. I'm joking. I'm working on humbling myself. Anywho, we got a very special guest, Thais with Saenz Global. What's up?
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks, Michael. Really excited.
Listen, I'm happy to have you. All right, things are looking up here in Buffalo, New York. So, give us your elevator pitch. What is Saenz Global?
Yeah, so we take the back office for roofing contractors so they can literally go crush it and sell more. So we do all the stuff they don't like permits, scheduling, all that good stuff. So yeah. Right.
When and why was it born?
It was born in 2020. And why was it born? I think the background I'm from corporate America. I'm a corporate dropout. So definitely I used to manage like Fortune 100 jobs. And so I would go on job sites and they're building these, large franchises, and general contractors were always having all these issues. Like, even though it's $500,000 project, everything's just overlapping. People are not showing up on time extra. So I'm like, there's a lot of chaos in construction. So yeah. And then I decided to let's go support, administrative. And then I got into roofing literally by someone recommending roofing, and then just started to really hyper focus on roofing. So I dropped out of corporate America, started Saenz Global after my husband's cousin. Shout out to awesome leaders. Was a VP of Oracle at the time. And she's like, you got to freaking do this. This is really epic, totally do it. So I jumped, and here we are almost 6 years later. So there we go.
Shout out to the team at Roofer. If you need instant roof quotes, clean and pristine proposals, which will give your prospects no choice but to buy from you, click the link down in the description. You'll be happy that you did. Has it always been rainbows and butterflies?
No, absolutely not. Never. I don't think there's any owner that can say it's rainbows and butterflies, especially when you bootstrap something, right? I'm like the OG where it's like we had no funding. It was just straight up ground up. We wiped our 401k. Like, my husband and I were like, oh, let's do this. We wiped it out and just hustling. So there's never a dull moment when we do this. So yeah.
I love that you're willing to bet on yourself. It's very admirable.
Thanks.
And it feels good when it pays off.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's like the thing you're made to do. Well, for us, what makes me come alive is seeing the impact that we have on our team, for example. So now we have, over 200 people that we support, right? 53 plus team members and their families. And so you get to see the major impact that it has when you build a business. So we freaking love it. Yeah, for sure. Give me the story of the first client where you felt the impact that you were making. Yeah, it's actually a cool story. This client is we call it our original gangster, and they are still with us till this day. When we started, they were at 3 million. They are now at 89 million. That we have been with them the entire way. That was my first client. And it was funny because I pitched them something that didn't exist. I was like, absolutely, we know how to pull permits. Yeah. You got, and I'm pitching this thing that does not exist, which is what I actually started Saenz Global. I would pitch things that didn't exist because I knew we could build them really quickly. And so I was like, hey, we can absolutely help you with pulling permits. We can absolutely do this, because I knew we could figure it out. We can figure it out. We can figure this stuff out. And we started with them, and we've just been able to scale and grow. But that's been the cool thing, where we stop and we get to meet with them on a monthly basis. And we're like, oh my gosh, you just freaking did, 250 roofs this month, right? And then looking back at the story where they're just doing just a handful, 27, right? And so it's been cool to see them scale and grow, and had the amazing impact as their team has grown exponentially as well. Their sales team, and seeing them be a Fortune 5,000 company as well. So it's been really cool to see the growth with our contractors. They're making a huge impact. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm a big fan of a how we met story. So how'd y'all meet?
That roofing contractor?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Literally, my friend, she built a company called The Virtual Savvy, and she was teaching people how to have virtual companies. And so I started to get some coaching, and the coach was like, hey, this company reached out to us that they needed virtual support because they've already used another company and they're not like it's not going well. And she's like, I know you really like construction, because I didn't do roofing. I have no background in roofing. I was working with windows, doors, gutters, a taco company, a pharmacy. Like if you were alive and breathing, I would help you, right? And they're like, I really know you like construction. There's this company, I think you would be a really good connection. So yeah, I met with them a couple times, all virtually. It's been cool because I did get to meet them in real life. They're in the Colorado area. I was in Florida, and we got to meet because we actually ended up doing the same coaching program. So that's been cool too. But yeah, literally it came through someone connecting us together. I would have never met them if it wasn't for that.
Network is net worth, right?
Totally, 100%.
I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, get your sales guys out there networking, meeting people, right? Nothing bad will become of it, unless they go to a bar and get too fucked up. And like, that's another conversation, but network is so huge and can be so beneficial to so many people within a company. And it's not hard to do.
No.
Just show up.
Yeah. And be like kind, right?
Yeah.
Just like show up, be kind. And I always say some of the best people you find is in your day to day, right? You're at the grocery store, you're at a restaurant. And I say that for hires, right? So the best talent has been through daily interaction and great connections there too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I concur. So I know from my company, what I envisioned when I started it, and specifically the roadmap to what that would look like, has evolved, we'll say. Morphed a little bit from my preconceived notion of like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it, and this is what it's going to look like. It looks kind of similar, but the journey there was a lot different than I had anticipated. Does that hold true for you as well? And if so, like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, 100%, right? For us, we actually deconstructed the entire business. So if you ever, if you knew us in 2020 and who we are now, it's like night and day. Before we were running like I would say like a normal virtual assistant company where you're like, you have a client and you have team members. And what happened is I was like, hey, there has to be, and really the topic of, are we building something that truly is scalable, right? And that can really impact both the client and, the team. And so we brought in consultants. I'm a huge fan of consultants. And I brought two consultants. They didn't know each other. And I was like, can you figure out what's going on? Because I can't figure out what's going on, right? And they came in, dig deep, and they're like, this is your problem right here. So decided, okay, we are not using technology as much as we should, right? Also, we have a ton of fat. We are not having really good accountability, right? It's like, add more people. Like that's going to solve the problem. It does not solve the problem, right? It's actually making sure everyone has a clear directive and everything can be measurable, right? So at the end of the day, what ended up happening is that Saenz Global became more of a tech company. So we're like tech infused with human expertise. So that even with our admin support, right? So we're not, everything is technology actually. So we rebuilt the whole thing. And now we work with very specific CRMs. We work with very specific, API pulls and we got even more niche down. So I'd never imagined that would be really the game I would be playing, or not the game playing, but where I'm at. But tech is where we're at right now. That's really what our competition isn't VA companies. Our competition is ourselves and technology. So we're just getting really deep into how to manage tech and use it to help our team become even better. Did I answer that question?
I think that answers the question. Yeah, for sure.
I did not think that's what I would be, but that's literally where we're at. A lot of technology. And
it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, what CRMs do you work with?
So we love, and I know one of the things too, because I'm like, we freaking love Roofer. Oh, by the way, shout out to Roofer, because I know they're like repping here as well. We work right now with JobNimbus, AccuLinks, and Zuper. Those are the ones that we do. And then we work with great CRMs like Roofer as well for measurements and all the good stuff. But those are currently the three that can pull from the APIs. So yeah. Got it.
So like if I have a roofing company and it's Ascend Roofing, it'd be the best roofing company, obviously. Go ahead, guys. Hit me in the comments. Come for me. What does it look like? When is it the right time to give your team a call? I'm like, I need help. Is it at $500,000? Is it at $2 million? $5 million?
Well, we have clients. It depends on. We have clients that they're at 0 million. They just have the money and they know, hey, we need to set up the system and we need it running. So we do that. Like we did a lot of consulting for startup companies. But the best time to really reach out to us is when you decide, I really want to scale and grow. And there's like a much better way to do this, right? And it's not having to hire a VA and train them or bring someone in and train them. It's almost like a plug and play. We literally jump in and we can start taking tasks off right away. From day, like, hey, I'm really having a hard time with a follow-up on the proposals. Boom, we can start in 48 hours, right? We can start pulling permits immediately. Like we're pros at that. So it's almost like that moment you're like, I just want to sell. I want to make more money. It's a good time to give us a call.
So where does it start? Where does it stop? So you pull permits. You send out invoices. No, we actually don't do that. So it's actually that's one of the things that we rebuilt, right? So exactly what we do is we can create estimates. We can actually create all the estimates for you. We can pull the measurement. So if you're not having an integration within your CRM, we can pull the measurement. We can input it into the estimate. We can do the whole follow-up as well. Then we handle permitting. We can also schedule crews, schedule dumpsters. So your production manager tends to love us, right? You can just order material and then we handle everything else. So coordinate with material, coordinate with the homeowner, coordinate with the crew, send the what to expect packet, things that are really world-class companies do, right? And so we put that into place. If you're doing any insurance, we'll support all the insurance follow-up as well, getting the cash, getting your money, and then also anything with warranties, COCs, certificate of completion, and then photo report, and then quality control. So we're reaching out to the homeowner, trying to get those Google reviews. So what we do is the back office stuff, but we don't do any invoicing. We don't do supplementing, and we don't answer calls, but we do partner with great companies that answer calls, and they're world-class. So when you say follow-up on non-insurance, what does that mean?
So follow up for proposals mostly, right? So, or payments. So let's say you have some open payments and you're ready. We can help follow up on those open payments as well. Because really the whole thing with our CRM is just where the heck is my money, right? I always tell contractors that it's just so you know where the heck your money is. How much is outstanding? How much money can your team actually capture still that's out there? And it's really important to keep that funnel clean, right? So your sales reps actually know how much money is in there. And then how much money is currently held in production and how much money you have, you've received, right? And all that is to know where the heck is my money? And then keeping accountable those that are in charge of those areas. So it's this beautiful thing of where's my money and accountability. So yeah, that's where we help.
What if my team's not the best at CRM hygiene and I hire you and you get in there and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, that happens quite a lot. One of the things that we recommend is what we call an audit. And I know it's it's a SWOT analysis. We're going to go in there into your CRM. We'll tell you your strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. We can really walk you through that. Either one, you can take all that information and go with your team and clean it up and fix it, or we can actually do all the fixing for you and then continuously help your team. The main thing about sales reps, if they don't buy into why it's important for them to actually do what they need to do, they're just going to continue doing what they're currently doing, right? But if they understand how much more money they can make if they actually simply update the system, then it's like a no-brainer to them, right? And so if your CRM is really a mess, no problem. Let us know. We've seen worse of the worst. Literally, we've seen bad stuff.
You guys will actually clean up / optimize the CRM so that they have a foundation to build off of as you guys get started?
Yeah, so we will absolutely optimize it, right? Because there's best practice. In the roofing industry, we have 1 million hours doing this. So we know which formula really works, right? And so we can recommend those best practices. We can help put them in place, and then we can help as well. That's one. They just want that help. And we can also optimize it and actually run it daily for them. So yeah, those are the things that we can do.
What would you say is the appropriate amount of milestones in a customer journey within a CRM? Because this is widely disputed. I've seen people where there's 4. I've seen people where there's 30.
It depends. So we always say there's 3, and then inside those 3, there's, some areas. So for example, pre-sale, right? We like to call it the pre-sale pipeline. That's where a lead comes in, and then you identify if you're going to pull a measurement and create an estimate. That's one area there, right? So I would say 3. And then for us, when it goes into production, then it's the pre-production call, like the welcome call, right? And then at the same right after the welcome call, it goes into production, meaning ordering materials, scheduling crews, scheduling dumpsters, and then the quality control call. And that's it. Very simple. And of course, there's what to expect in that as well. So super simple there. And then at the very end, right, if there's insurance, of course, it's insurance follow-up, payment, and then COC. There's no insurance involved. It's, invoice, final payment received, and then COC and quality control. So it's actually very simple, super simple.
So how do you, if you have something that's that simplistic, like how do you leverage automations for different stages within those milestones?
So automations are beautiful because one, they really help the consistency, right? So one, for example, we can follow up. We will follow up with a phone call, but there's a power in text and there's a power in email as well. So that's one really powerful tool, right? So what we know is the data shows us people love text message. They actually do like phone calls. And then third is actually emailing, like that's the last one, right? But if you can do all three, you're going to have a higher probability of some type of response. So we see it all the time where we're calling a client to welcome them. Hey, welcome to, A, B, and C roofing company. We're super excited to work on your project. And we see they do not answer, but then we send them a text and they're like, awesome, I'm excited, right? And so the power of automation is you can text, you can email, and then for when our aspect is we can actually, call as well. So it's really touching all those points. And automations really help keep the flow moving. So if you have a rehash list, which we highly recommend you have, which is someone that didn't close, but maybe they still actually need a roof. They just ghosted you. Doesn't mean they actually got a roof. They still maybe need it. You can do drip campaigns, right? Automations going out to them. So once they hit a certain amount of time in that pipeline, it's a great time to send them an email, right? Hey, how's it going? And so that's where the automation comes through, where you don't have to remember those things, where it's there to help money keep moving, right? Opportunity without someone having to manually remember those things.
Yeah, it's a good point. It reminds me of conversations I have with our customers when we're building a website, right? And it's like, hey, I've heard people say, like, don't flood them with call to actions. Like, there should only be 2 or there should only be 3 calls to action. And it's like, well, some people want to text. Some people want to book instantly and don't want to talk to you. Those are likely going to be younger people. Like the further you move down the spectrum of old to young, less likely they are to ever want to have a conversation. My daughter, she's turning 19. We talked about this in the green room. I'll call her. She'll text me back. It's the most fucking infuriating thing ever. She doesn't want to talk on the phone. It's just, it's a shift, right? In a generational way of communicating. And like, that's okay. But meeting people where they're at, right? If they want to submit a form, let them submit a form. Older folks will probably call and talk to you for way longer than they need to because they want to talk to somebody, right? Younger people aren't going to talk to you. They're going to text you, whatever. Like, so meet them where they're at. Let them control how they give you their information, give you the opportunity to sell them. And then from there, you can steer it. And hopefully you do so in a way that's congruent with the way that they want to communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's humans, I feel like we're interesting, right? There's not this perfect formula. What we do know is the data, right? So the data does tell us specifics, right? So our clients in Palm Beach, they're getting a lot more phone call conversations, right? Because again, the age range of where most Palm Beachers are in their mature age, right? So things of that nature. So it's important for the contractor to also know the DNA of his community and who's he's working with. And as we help contractors expand into different territories, that's really important data for them as well. As they know kind of how maybe there needs to be some shift in the automation process as well.
I like that. You've worked with a lot of companies. You've obviously worked with companies that have gone from somewhat small to very big. What are some of the greatest missteps you see while they're going through their growing pains?
So sometimes they think, it's like there's this illusion, like I just got to find the right salesperson or I have to find the right A, B, and C, right? So it's, this illusion is like, I just have to find it, when reality is like, hey, maybe all of this problem actually is because it's identifying that you have a core issue internally that you should really help figure out, right? So if that's like, for example, we don't know, we're not having enough leads. I bet you money that you have money in your pipeline. You have it in your pipeline. You just gotta roll through them, right? And so, and sometimes owners are like, I just got to find this. And then they find the person they think is that person, only to later, often realize it wasn't not that person. Like that wasn't the solution to all your problems, right? And I think as an owner, it's realizing like, really looking deep into you and just looking deep and saying, okay, currently right now, this is a problem. We don't have leads. Cool. Look inside your pipeline. That's the number one. We always say we will not get you, like we don't do sales. What we do is we help you find money in your pipeline because we're keeping it clean, right? And so that's one thing. Like owners, look at your pipeline. Look at all of the assets you already have, right? Go after those, right? I will so many times there's money just sitting in their pipeline. So that's one. The other thing is that they go into, certain places and they look at certain strategies. There's fundamental strategies that work all around, right? Which is treat your team really well, give them processes and procedures, keep them accountable to follow through. But other things are really DNA based on your community, right? And so sometimes they're using something that maybe they use in Michigan and trying to use it in, Arkansas or, Arkansas. Oh my gosh, am I saying the name right? I'm always butchering that name. Sorry.
Tomato.
It's my Brazilian in me. I'm always like messing up that, and so there's differentiations, right? And so it's like, sometimes you really do need to see your community and like how maybe you have to shift in the communication format. So what works maybe for one thing isn't going to work in one state, but the fundamentals will, which is sales reps are accountable, keep your notes clean, and go through your freaking rehash. You have a bunch of assets in there. You got money in your pipeline. So I don't know if I answered your question there, but that's one thing. It's not a magic formula. It's just strategic and following through.
Yeah, try proven things, test things, be situationally aware, change things that aren't working, double down on things that do. Yeah,
get your ADHD in place. I always say sometimes, get your, hyper focus. It's so many times they're like, this is the new shiny thing. It's just like, stop. Like, could companies, they just kind of slow down and go, what's the framework? What's really working? The data, and then follow the data. That's one thing that I always say. Follow the data.
Yeah, and stop trusting your sales reps. And I don't mean that in a way that's like micromanage them because you don't trust what they're doing. But the greatest lie ever told to most owners is these leads are junk. I don't have enough leads, to your point, right? It's like, cool, pull this lead up. Oh, it's not even in your CRM. That's weird.
Yeah.
How many times did they follow up with it? Did they call it? Did they talk to it at all? Because, I always say I've done sales. I still do sales. Most salespeople want to do as little as possible and benefit as much as possible. So what happens a lot of times is we create these entitled teams. So I'm a roofing company owner. I've got a great marketing company like Ascend bringing me in a bunch of leads. And I can tell everybody, Tom, Joe, Richard, they all get 3 leads a day. Well, maybe they have 3 meetings and one of them they sign, the other 2 they don't. Well, then you give them 3 more the next day and they have a couple good conversations. Maybe they get a sale, maybe they don't. But then they're getting 3 more the next day, right? And it's like, okay, what's the likelihood that those 4 from the 2 previous days get followed up on when he knows he's got 3 more good ones coming up? So that accountability, right? And not taking at face value what people are telling you. Trust but verify, right? Take a look. What's your average follow-up per record created?
Yeah.
I think if you run that metric, you're going to be fucking gravely disappointed in your team in most instances.
100%. And I will tell you, the most toxic companies, right? And I always say there's a toxicity when the owner, which I'm an owner, right? You're an owner. It's like realizes that you are ran by emotions, right? And you're ran by emotions and not actual data. So when again, a good example, there's no leads because, we don't have sales because we don't have leads. And again, you just take it as face value and then you go complain about your marketing company or complain about this, you complain about that, right? But then if you sit down and go exactly what you said, what's the data telling you? What's the data telling you, right? And if they know that you're not going to pay attention to data, there's not really any accountability, right? I'm just going to go by emotions. And so as a contractor, a healthy contractor, right, with a healthy team, you're keeping them accountable. And A players, Mike, like we're A players. We like accountability. We like to know that like you see my numbers and I'm crushing it, right? We like to know that someone's A players, they're like adrenaline rush on knowing like, cool, I'm hitting goals. It's true accountability. They're going to, kick my ass if I don't do it, like legit. They're not just going to tell me they're going to do something and not do it, right? It's like they're going to follow through. They're like that healthy parent, right?
Yeah, it's, and I want to be clear, guys, we're not sitting here shitting on you. These are conversations that I have with prospects, that I have with my customers who I love very much all the time. Because, at the end of the day, like you guys you're getting waterboarded every day and you're just trying to get a breath of air in between the next waterboarding session, right? Like you're super busy, the bullets are flying, and it's hard sometimes you want to trust your team, right? But salespeople in particular, they have like a lot of biases that come into play when they, they don't look at a 12-month period, a 30-day period. Like the thing about their last call, they get an instant roof quote. They call that instant roof quote. The person doesn't answer. These instant roof quote leads fucking suck. Well, maybe not. Like also the purpose of the instant roof quote is to get cheaper leads, knowing that they're possibly more top of funnel and they might not be ready to deal with you. To your point about rehash, like that's where nurturing that lead comes into play so that you're staying top of mind. I did a podcast with Andy Keys, so shout out to Andy. And he was talking about his sequence that he has for re-engagement on things like instant roof quotes. It's a great lead magnet. And some of those people will buy right off rip. But there's a lot of well-adjusted adults out there that will plan for a $20,000 or $30,000 project. So they'll see a tool like this can give me a roundabout estimate of how I'm going to figure out what I need to do with my roof, when, and how I'm going to pay you for it, right? So they'll do an instant roof quote. Maybe they get called once, maybe they get called 5 times, and they're just not answering because they're not ready. They got what they need, and that's okay. Now we use that as a brand equity building opportunity to stay in contact with them. And it doesn't have to always be about selling them. Give them some valuable information. Hey, you submitted this information to try to get a ballpark estimate. Like, here's 5 things you should consider when you're hiring your roofing company when that time comes. Next week, hey, when's the right time to replace my roof? Right? Like they're showing you all their cards and putting it on the table. Now let's use that information and help them make a best decision possible, which should be, you should be confident in saying it's hiring your roofing company.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the consumers changed as well, right? We have a lot of knowledge, right? Like now they have AI, they can communicate, they can ask those questions. And so I think the real big game changer where I see like our top companies, like really, it's that trust perspective, right? And I think even those email nurtures, that's building trust, that's building confidence in the viewer, because you're not coming off like some spammy car sales guy, right? It's like, oh, cool, they care about my knowledge. And I think people really feel that. And exactly what you said, Michael, it's a beautiful way to capture a lead that you'll be able to have in the near future. Or maybe long-term future. We just had a lead come in. It took 29 touches. 29.
Yeah.
29. Yeah. We're just like,
look at you now.
Yeah. And we're just like, this is, again, the data. The data tells us, go do the touches. Right. And so, I mean,
there's not many instances where somebody's going to express interest to where you stay in front of them and they decide because of that, I'm not going to do business with you, unless you're crafting poor messages that make them feel like you got a gun to the head and you're trying to sell them something at any cost necessary. That could possibly affect you in a detrimental way. But
100%.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? Easy enough. Also, as you were saying, as you were answering the question in the beginning, you had mentioned something about like, once I get this done. I had this conversation with my team not too long ago because I've fallen victim to this. It's the biggest lie I ever told myself. Once I do X, then Y. I'll be good. I'll be happy. Once I get this new apartment, once I get through this game, once I get done with this meeting, once I get this sale, once my company LLC gets filed, once I can actually take payments from people, because when I started Ascend, apparently every freaking transaction that I put through was getting flagged and held in limbo by a third-party company because they're like, it's a remote transaction that's keyed in and it's marketing, so it's high risk, so we're not doing it. And we'll let you know when you get your money. Every single time, though, like when you get through whatever it is you tell yourself you're going to get through and everything's going to be hunky-dory, it's usually not, right? So it's a fool's errand to have that mentality. And and occasionally I still fall into it. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to get this done, because once this gets done, and I always got to check myself and be like, dude, like things are great. Be grateful. Your life is fantastic. Like, everything is fine. And maybe it gets a little bit better, but like you're going to have a new set of challenges. But Mike, you love solving problems, so it's good.
Yeah, totally. And it's easy too to like, especially as owners, right? You have actually done so much, but feel like you've never, like it's not enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough, right? And then you get really in like everything's screwed, right? And then it's really important to look at data again, because the data tells you a story, right? Mm-hmm. And so for our case, we're like, what's the data telling me? I'm like, oh my gosh, this shift. I don't know if it's working, right? And then you look at the story like, oh my gosh, look at what has happened, right? The story is telling us what went down when we removed this, what went up when this happened, right? And so the data tells you the story and it shows you, wow, you really have accomplished quite a lot. So that's why it's important to have data. Because if not, we're always going to go by our emotion and we're always going to feel like it's not enough. And we're always going to feel maybe like, you're just, it doesn't stop. I just have to keep it. And it's no, be at peace, look at the data, and the data is pointing, to how far you've gone.
It's a cape and a kryptonite. Low key, I think I like feeling like shit and being like, I'm not doing enough. It ain't enough. We got to do more. Great job, guys. Now here's what we're going to do. Therapists would probably tell me it's a character defect. I would vehemently disagree. Like it could be used for great. It could be used for terrible things. Just channel it in a positive way somehow for everyone 100%. Else around you.
Yeah, 100%. Totally.
I'll bear that cross for the team. It's all good. We'll get where we want to go though. Lead at.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's the entrepreneur mindset. We got to be studied, which there's a lot of studies on our brains, but it's like we like pain. I don't know. It's weird.
It's all good. What do you love most and what do you dislike the most about entrepreneurship?
What I love most, one, legit, I know people say this, but I have 3 kids. And so I really am thankful that I can do things with my kids. Like I can kind of semi-control it, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm going to pick up my kid at 3. I can do that, right? So I really enjoy that. When I was in my corporate life, I was never home, right? I had a very prestigious job. I was traveling all over the globe, staying in 5-star hotels, and then had a wake-up call, right? When the guy at the hotel was like, thanks for never being home. That's how we have jobs. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I found, so I
shout out to him, whoever that was.
It was like this guy in Miami, this little gentleman. I was just like, thanks so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's thanking me for never being home. And I'm like, thinking I'm cool because I have, VIP everything. It's just crazy. Yeah. So now my favorite thing is really being able to be with my family. But actually, as an owner, my favorite thing is seeing our team hit bucket lists. Like they're like, oh my gosh, I got to do, I got to purchase my first home, or I got to take my mom to like a cool vacation, or I got to pay this for my child. That's my favorite. And that's actually what moves me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is impacting lives. And that's my favorite thing. My not so favorite thing is, I'm like, there's a, no, my not so favorite thing. It's really,
tell us what you hate.
It's actually really funny. The thing I hate the most is actually the administration part, which is funny because we run an administration company, so I'm so thankful for it. But now I think that's why I understand the contractors. I hate this stuff, right? I legitimately hate it. It's like and yet I have to do it, right? It's like, in some way, some type of administration. It's the part I least like. So if I could always just show up and just do this and not have to, let me look at the numbers deeply, all that stuff, that would be great. But, that's it.
Awesome.
It's this thing I think I understand. That's why I think we understand the contractor so well, because I get it.
Yeah. It's, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you what I love most about it is, it's like impact, right? So we've been running on the EOS framework for some time, but we just recently rolled it out to everybody. So I had to give a speech, right? Here goes Mike on his soapbox at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, filled up with 8 shots of espresso. Dr. O'Connor, my cardiologist, probably fight me if he sees this, but sorry, dude, YOLO. So I was hyped, but I was taking a minute to take a step back, and I don't know, I think of it like a football team. Like in a football team, you've got the quarterback, you got the running back, you got the receiver. That's who everybody pays attention to, the skilled position, because he's making the great catch. He's evading the pass rush, throwing an incredible ball that makes a touchdown possible. That running back finding the hole, having patience, cutting back, boogieing into the end zone. Everyone's like, ah. But I feel like a lot of the times, like the sales team, like people that are doing the sales and dealing with customers, they get to share in a lot of that glory. And a lot of the team members, the ones that are writing content, the ones that are writing codes, the ones that are developing links, the ones that are running ads, like they don't feel that as much, right? Because they're not talking to those customers who are like, bro, thank you so much for everything that you've done for me. Like, it's fucking incredible. Like, I'm so happy. Like, I get that. I get to hear, and that's incredibly fulfilling. But like, I was in the EOS kickoff speech, and it's like, you're not just writing a piece of content. You're not just developing a link. You're not just writing a line of code. I'm like, this client went from $250,000 5 years ago to 17 million and sold his company. Now has a lot of money in the bank and has a lot of upside in the very near future because this person found this blog. This person came from this ad. This many visits came from organic. And like collectively, everybody in this room has had a part of that. And y'all need to take credit. You need to own that shit, right? Like, it's not just, we're not just doing a thing to do a thing. And I could feel like a lot of the times, like those core team members that are internal and they don't get to share in that glory of those conversations with the customers, like they don't feel that. So like as a leader, I need to do a better job bringing those examples into the spotlight consistently so that they feel that way more often, because that's really fucking incredible. A guy that went from just being a guy in a truck to having 30 some employees, right? Like you're changing communities. It's fucking wild.
You're impacting kids, right? I always think of when you guys are doing that, and now the owner has this ability to be like a more consistent parent, right? Yeah. They're more present. And I always say it's like they're better parents because they're happier. Have better parents, have happier kids. Happier kids impact other kids in the school, right? And so it's just like this ripple effect of like, there's a bigger and greater purpose. And on this, Michael, actually, our whole team is admin. So no one really gets a lot to be facing the client. We actually have a wins channel in our Slack channel, and we are dropping in wins constantly and just shouting out the team. Like, oh my gosh, look at this clip. This client was just like blown away. Blah, blah, blah. And so that wins channel for us has been a game changer because we literally get to shout out like, hey guys, consistently all day, there's wins dropping in there. And so it brings this hype. And so for, it's a big thing because it's a bigger purpose of what we're doing.
Yeah,
we're getting,
for sure.
Yeah.
Love that. You got any questions for me?
Yeah. So I have a question for you. What got you into what you're doing right now? Like what started this journey? You're dropout as well, right?
Yeah, so my dad was a contractor. He did a lot of roofing. He was like the stigmatic contractor though, like not great at money management, probably janked way more than he should have, right? Like, he definitely wasn't, running ads on Google when they first started. Yeah, he should have hired me. But, when I looked at that, I remember one time there was a check on the counter and the check was for like $38,000. And for like a 13-year-old kid, I'm like, you made how much? Because in my mind, that's all profit. Like, you just made $38,000, bro. And you're taking us to Florida? Let's go. I'm like, I kind of want to do roofing. My dad's like, I'm not teaching you any of this stuff. He's like, I want you to be better than your old man, right? But ironically, as I got a little bit older, I had friends that were older and they started, they had roofing companies. So I'd like hand out flyers and shit and like do all like the guerrilla marketing grassroots stuff. So I could make $100 and go to the carnival or whatever, right? Whatever poor choice I made that weekend. Then I went to college and I wanted to be an attorney, and I had my daughter when I was 19. So I was like, well, we're going to do school part-time. Now I did commit to myself I'd finish my degree, which I did. It took me 9 years to get a 4-year degree. Okay. 9 long years. And I was like, I'm going to go to law school. By the time I got done with the 9 years, I'm like, I can't fucking tolerate being in school anymore. So I had some familiarity with like principles of marketing. I studied political science, and I really like doing sales. I was in the startup community in college because I took this entrepreneurship course, and just my teacher, he's like, he forced me to network. He's like, you go here, you show up here. I don't care what you do. You just show up there, stay there for 2 hours. Whatever happens, happens. Long story short, I ended up getting involved with a company, pitching HIPAA compliant medical software or medical communication exchange, at one of like the largest stroke centers in the US in front of like 20 neurosurgeons, just from sending a cold email to somebody who he was a chair of the stroke center, but he also taught at the school that I was graduating from that semester. So I was like, hey, we got some cool tech, whatever. And I'm like, the rush of this, I'm thinking it's just he and I. He's like, yeah, come on in. I'd love to see it. I was like, holy shit, that was easy. I walk in, there's 20 neurosurgeons sitting there staring at me. I start sweating profusely. And at that time I did 4 shots of espresso. So half what I do present day. And I was like, I want to do sales. And then I got hired by a marketing agency way back when. And they were great. It was a great experience. I'm not going to give them credit for being great because they weren't great, but I'm really glad that I got there because I learned so much on like the fulfillment side and what was happening, what I thought should happen, shouldn't happen. And I'm really grateful they didn't listen to any of my ideas because eventually I was like, you know what? I have strong conviction that I'm right and I'm going to try this. And then I started Ascend and here we are. Very long-winded answer, but context is important, right?
100%. And it's a beautiful story. Like it's awesome to see. No, cool. Am I allowed to ask you one more question?
You can ask me as many as you want. I'm an open book.
Okay, cool. I'm going to ask you one more. So on your end, what's like the biggest mistake you see a lot of entrepreneurs make right now?
Treating symptoms, not root causes.
Yeah.
You know, really dig in and figure out like, why do you keep banging your head on the wall and dealing with the same thing over and over again? And if you pull that thread hard enough, you'll figure out where it lies and then address that in a way that solves it not only once, but forever. And like, here's the thing, right? If you're having production issues at $3 million and you fix them, well, if you go to $6 million over the next 12 months, you might run into production issues again. Maybe it's the same, maybe it's different, but you'll solve that problem for then in that context. Like if you stayed at 3 million, you should never have to deal with that issue again. Of course, you start adding more chefs in the kitchen, dish consistency starts to get fucked up a little bit. Now we got to look at the team in the kitchen, like what's going on here, right? Like our customers come for this, they're expecting this, and this ain't what that is. So like, let's figure it out. Okay, so then we figure it out. But that's one of our biggest things here is like, you want to piss Mike off, keep having the same dumb shit happen, and you'll see a man become unhinged, right? Like if we're gonna have an issue, we're gonna solve that issue, and we're gonna solve it so that we don't ever have to talk about it again. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, that's solid. Okay, and I have one last one because I'm actually liking asking questions. This is great. This was asked to me, and I was like, this is a good question. So, how has your leadership changed as your company has grown?
I removed baggage from an old relationship and got that out of the new relationship, which is really good life advice in general with any type of relationship, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching. So I, in companies that I'd worked with in the past, it was corporate. It was very, not only process oriented, but very micro managey, right? Give you a perfect example. I did sales, right? And they had a formula. Your formula is you make 25 cold calls a day. Of that, you'll get 2 appointments. You'll have 10 appointments a week, 40 appointments a month. Of that, you'll get at least 10 sales. Ergo, here's your average ticket. You're going to hit your goal. That works for a lot of people. That didn't work for me, right? I'm not the guy who's like, is this Thais? Can I speak to whoever handles the website at Saenz Global, please? That's not me, right? I'm going to do research. I'm going to figure out who owns the company. I'm going to make sure that I have decent information. I'm going to understand like where, and this is at the prospecting stage, right? I hunted for everything. Nothing was given to me, right? I'm sharpening my spear. I'm going to go find a fucking rabbit, an elephant or something. So I'd make a list of 20, 30 people. I'd have seven phone calls, right? But I'd get 3 appointments and I'd get 2 sales. And they couldn't get out of their own way in the sense of like, you're not following the plan. I was like, but it's day 4 and I'm at 300% of goal. Meanwhile, 40% of your sales team hasn't sold a fucking dollar in revenue in 3 months. And like, maybe you should put your energy in, instead of attacking me, like training them, right? Coach and develop them. Give me a spiff. I'll do it. Right. So like that kind of ruined me for a while because I was so adverse to like consistent meetings, right? We had daily meetings every day that were 30 minutes long. When you got to the office, it was called deliberate practice. And what was supposed to happen is We role play. We talk about situations that unfolded yesterday. We figure out how we can make each other better, right? Theory versus practicality. What actually happened would be we'd get screamed at for 30 minutes, right? So I never wanted anyone that worked for me to feel that way. So I'm just like, I'll hire people, trust for them to be able to do their job and do it well. And I'll be more hands off, which it wasn't a terrible choice, but you start to realize like how much people want direction, they want strong leadership, and they want to know that you're bought in, that you know what's going on, that you can help them in ways that you otherwise couldn't if you're more hands off. So that would be the biggest shift for me personally.
I would relate with, yeah, that's good. I relate to you a lot with that because I always relate. Everyone likes to be like me. I don't like to be micromanaged. Don't micromanage me. Just tell me what I need to do. I'll go get it done. That's it. So I'm like building this team thinking everyone's like that, only to realize like majority of people aren't like that. They need like a SOP. Like I was like the SOP hater. I was like, I don't need no freaking SOP. Just tell me what I got to do. Okay, cool. You need me to make this amount of sales. I'm in, bun. And they kind of would just leave me alone, right? Because I would get it done. And so I'm building this business thinking everyone's like that and realizing very quick, like it actually took that 2025. That was my realization. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's insane. And actually, you know, this is actually part of when we hire. Do you have startup blood? Have that, because startup blood people are different than non-startup. Because startup individuals, even if, you know, your business isn't a startup, but they got that blood, right? And they're like, I'm in, I'm all in. Like they can pivot quickly. And so that's one thing that we started to implement.
Yeah. One of the things I like to ask is like, in your mind, what's the difference between being managed and micromanaged?
Yeah.
I'd love to feel people out on that, right? Because
good question.
Some people have a real problem with accountability, and that's part of management, right? Like, people need to be managed, right? So it's like if you're going to have a bad taste in your mouth over going through KPIs that you're accountable for, like, you're not for us. It's okay.
Yeah.
My day of reckoning was like 2 years ago. We were doing a trip to Nashville, a team trip. I was bringing everyone to Nashville for 2 days. It was a hoot of a time. It was fantastic. But before we left, I was like, hey, I need everyone to do me a solid. And I'm like, and I just need your honest feedback on Glassdoor, right? So as we continue to grow and recruit people, and like a lot of 5 stars, right? And, you know, there's the pros and cons. And it was like, you know, sometimes it's unclear the direction we're going. Sometimes like interdepartmental communication, you know, could be improved. Young company, great company, love working there. You know, there will be some growing pains. And I'm like, heard. we got some shit to fix. I love this. Like, not at all what I intended to get out of it. And like, you know, selfishly, I'm just thinking we're going to make it easier to find, you know, A players by having a sound presence here. And I'm like, man, I've seen the forest through the trees. I love this for me. Yeah. So it was interesting. It's been a journey and one that I feel very fortunate to have gotten to take a ride along on. So
love it. Well, you are definitely making an impact, and it's really cool to see. So I'm really proud to see. Like, I know, been in the industry for almost 6 years, but it's cool to see your journey. So nicely done.
Yeah, likewise. And I'm glad that we were able to connect today. Spent some time together. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate all y'all at home in your trucks, on your phones tuning in, because it'd be really weird to do this and not have anybody watch it ever. I don't know how long I would keep doing it for. So y'all the real MVPs. And once again, shout out to the team at Roofer for helping making it happen. Make sure you guys share this with somebody else that'll help, because this was a good one. I really I look forward to doing one again in the future.
Ditto, 100%. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.